Now, top intel sources have told CNN News 18 that LET is organizing terror activities jointly with Dawood Ibrahim. The movements of Dawood was spotted in Islamabad yesterday evening. According to an intercept, ISI wants to create unrest as most of the Indian security is busy tackling the COVID crisis, and it will be a great opportunity to target the major cities of India. So it looks like that the pandemic is a situation for the terrorists to take advantage of, and that's what is being planned at. But the top intel sources are gathering this information, and a proactive approach will help to make sure that terror activities are contained. We have seen the number of security encounters that have been happening in the valley, the casualties that have been reported. The terror activities have only risen during this pandemic. Even the LOC, we have seen multiple ceasefire violations happening. It only points out to the fact that even during this pandemic, the cross-border terrorism from Pakistan has not stopped. Now, this latest piece of information coming in that LET is organizing terror activities, and this particular situation right now in India, where most of the paramilitary and the security personnel are involved in dealing with the pandemic, it could be perhaps used as a possible opportunity to target key Indian cities. So the cross-border terrorism continues despite the pandemic. The state of Pakistan will have a lot to answer for going forward, keeping in mind that not just India, across the world, COVID-19 pandemic has created a lot of problems. All the resources of the country are perhaps focused on tackling this pandemic. Even in the country of Pakistan, a lot of cases are reported, but looks like that the terror elements on that soil are determined to make sure that terror activities continue to go on. Those are the details we're getting you. For the viewers who've just joined us, the latest information is coming in that the LET is organizing terror activities jointly with Dawood Ibrahim. The movements were spotted in Islamabad yesterday evening. Now, according to an intercept, ISI wants to create unrest as most of the Indian security is busy tackling COVID-19 crisis and a great opportunity to target major cities of India. Anand Narasimhan, our executive editor, with us on the broadcast. Anand, even during a pandemic, cross-border terrorism does not stop.
No, it's not just the cross-border terrorism. Pakistan is desperate to make sure that India is unsettled. They have to have this story because they need to sell this narrative across. The bigger question is, what is Dawood Ibrahim doing in Islamabad? How is it that his coordination with the LET and people like Abdul Rahman Makki has happened? How is Makki travelling openly to Karachi if Pakistan is claiming to wage a war against terror? What is this entire charade that Pakistan is playing? They continue to say officially that Dawood Ibrahim is not in Pakistan. Then what is Dawood Ibrahim doing in Islamabad, the capital, the political capital also? It's just 14 kilometers away from Rawalpindi. So clearly he is enjoying the patronage. It's an open secret. The world needs to see what Pakistan's machinations are. And the other aspect is that Dawood Ibrahim is a puppet which Pakistan uses to perpetrate terror attacks on our soil. From the 1990s till date, this is exactly what Dawood has been used for, and that is the reason why Pakistan has given him this kind of patronage and security and support. Clearly, there are those within, and this is not even happening with the government there. These calls are being taken as far as the military establishment which is concerned, because they believe that the only way Pakistan is going to get any kind of support or semblance by those who want to derail India is by creating some kind of disharmony and try and portray this entire narrative as communal and social disharmony to the entire world. To defame India, to bleed India with 1,000 cuts has been Pakistan's stated objective, and that is exactly what they want to do even in these times of the pandemic. What is happening in Jammu and Kashmir is statement of the fact that Pakistan, even in times of the pandemic, does not want to play a humanitarian role, but wants to push terror on Indian soil, because they look at everything as an opportunity to try and destabilize India. But India is wise to this. The bigger question now is, will the security establishment, will the government of the day today now go ahead and expose Pakistan outright? Will they make these intercepts public? Will they make these pictures public and get Pakistan to answer to the entire world? Why are they harboring terrorists and those who are proscribed terrorists, wanted people across the world? Why are they harboring and giving them patronage even at times like this? Pakistan is worst in its ability to fight this pandemic at this point in time, but what it wants to do is push terror on Indian soil. They're planning to use the coastal route again to push in arms and weapons, use the coastal route from Maharashtra and Gujarat at this point in time, when the establishment and the government currently is focused on the safety of migrants, the movement of migrants, and life beyond lockdown, trying to balance livelihood along with this battle against COVID-19. And this is what Pakistan is looking at, trying to use this as an opportunity to push terrorism on Indian soil.
Pathikrit Payne, who's a geopolitical analyst, is also joining us on the broadcast. Pathikrit, thank you so much for speaking to us. As Anand was pointing out, that many questions emerge. What is Dawood Ibrahim doing on Pakistani soil? This is a wanted terrorist. Talking about globally, talking about India's action and what can we do to expose Pakistan's action. They have been facing heat at the FATF as well. What should be the strategy of India going forward in tackling all these security threats coming from Pakistan? Pathikrit, if you can hear me? All right, we'll try and connect to Pathikrit in just a bit. Seems like there is a problem with that connection. Anand, I'll take those questions with you and perhaps you can give us more perspective. What is it that India can do at an international stage, as you were pointing out, to expose the actions of Pakistan?
Well, see, the biggest challenge, I don't know why just for a moment I lost the audio with you there, Anusha, but the biggest question is, at this point in time, if there are attacks on major cities across our country, if there are attacks on Indian soil, then there is an overtly working mechanism which is wanting to portray a particular narrative. Pakistan internationally is trying to push all and lobby very, very hard against those who have an agenda of against India and who have been sympathetic in the past to the Pakistani narrative, to try and push a particular narrative which puts India in bad light. India as a country has been phenomenal in its fight against COVID-19 so far. Imagine we are at under 65,000 cases or 60,000 cases after about 100 days in lockdown. Yes. 30th of Jan is when we first had our first case. A nation of 1.3 billion people has been able to stave off what the likes of America, all of Europe have not been able to do. Even China was not able to reduce the speed or flatten the curve as effectively as India has done. And this has shocked all those people who wanted this pandemic to try and unsettle the current establishment. We'll try and get Pathikrit in also, but the bigger question is, what is Dawood doing in Islamabad? And if Dawood is in Islamabad, shouldn't Pakistan be made to answer for this?
I want to take all these questions to Pathikrit Payne as well, who is with us on the broadcast. Pathikrit, I want to understand from you, taking Pakistan to the global court or in the court of public perception globally, what is it that India can do to expose the actions of Pakistan?
Well, I think enough has been done in terms of exposure. Enough has been done from India's perspective to highlight what Pakistan does. I think the world has a limitation of what it wants to do or it can do so far as Pakistan is concerned. And I think this is a problem in India's backyard, so India has to deal with it. I think after the abrogation of Article 370 last August, a lot was done by India in terms of exposing Pakistan, in terms of improving and working on its entire counter-terrorism infiltration grid. I think they were prepared that Pakistan would do something like this, would be prepared, would be working towards some kind of a mischief once the summer sets in. And yes, there is definitely a Dawood angle which would invariably come in, because you see there is a strong nexus between the entire drug syndicate through which the counterfeit money is earned, the Hawala syndicate in which Dawood has a huge role to play, and the entire jihadi network which is controlled by Rawalpindi. All these three are very important part of the entire architecture of terrorism that is one of the biggest export of Pakistan. So far as India is concerned, India also realizes that Pakistan is taking advantage of this situation for the simple reason that the world today is tremendously busy with a very major pandemic, and the world may not have that interest or energy to consider what is happening in South Asia. Here is a shameless country called Pakistan which can export terrorism in this kind of a situation and at the same time plead and request for hydroxychloroquine and ventilator from India.
Absolutely.
So we deal in a very difficult environment, we live in a very difficult neighborhood. Let us also understand that because of the advent of the summers, the entire passage across LOC where there was the snow has started melting, and I think I cannot vouch for that, but I have a very strong premonition and a understanding about this matter that whatever Pakistan is doing now, there would definitely be a China backing in the whole thing. Remember recently when some of the terrorists were killed, they were caught, they were killed, they were Type 56 assault rifles were found with them, which are Chinese made. So the entire thing that what is happening today cannot happen. We are battling a terrorism which is emanating from Pakistan,
right.
which is Chinese.
Patikrit, I'm sorry I have to interrupt you as we're getting some latest news, but thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast.